Hello friends, Tanya here with Tinkering and Ink with Tanya, and today we are going to play with the Make a Scene dies from Spellbinders. They were just released in the last week or so, and there are many pieces to this particular card base set. They did create this so you could make a mirror image. So all of these pieces fit into the frame of this slider piece. And you're going to want to make sure that the longest of the slots that it creates is the furthest away from the wider end of this slider piece. There are also pieces that create a perforated score line for you, and those you don't have to move. Now I'm going to flip this around because again I want to make a mirror image of this, one for each side. And I need, in order for the good side to be showing, because when you die cut, there's the side that looks the best. You have to flip this completely around, and then I'm going to switch the smallest and the largest of the slots so that they are in the right spot when it's die cut. And we're going to take and line that back up because it came loose a little bit. And I'm just using washi tape to hold all of these pieces in place. There are a few other videos showing you how to make this particular card, and there are instructions on the back of the product insert when you get it, but the videos are super helpful. And there's a couple ways to do this. This is how I figured out how to do it. Now I have my two mirror images, and I'm going to need these two, and I need to cut this twice, and the front panel twice, actually front and back, and it does create a little embossed mark on all four sides to help you center the inside rectangle. You couldn't really see it when I showed it to you, but you'll see it on here soon when I show it in another section. So I'm just creating an X in the middle there with the help of those little embossed marks, tick marks. And I'm going to center this rectangle in the middle of the front panel. I only need to do that on the one. And those tick marks are going to help you with these little notches. And you can see that tick mark a little better here. I'm going to line it up with the notch on this. And that's going to create a little thumb hole, you know, so you can get a hold of the slider pieces. Now, when I created this particular card, I should have done it on the front and the back panels. Silly me, I only did it on the back. I do fix it later with a circle punch, but it would have been much easier. Here I'm showing you the right side of the die cut paper, and you're going to fold away from the right side. So that's face down. Again, face down, and I'm going to fold away and then back towards. So we have two pieces, and this is the moving mechanism. So I'm going to line those up. You want your tallest edges on the outside when they're laying down, and I'm going to center these. It's along the outer edge that I'm trying to center those, just so that it's in the middle of that panel from top to bottom. And don't worry about a gap in the middle. When I tried to get rid of the gap, it does not close properly. The little pieces that go inside aren't narrow enough then if you try to make that gap go away. And, and in this particular card, I did not add a little dimension behind this. In future, I will use either a piece of coaster blank to add just a little bit of extra wiggle room for sliding the slider pieces under this. But this particular time, I'm just using glue and gluing it directly to the back of the card front. There's no markings that tell you exactly where to put this, but there are little score lines that tell you where the edge of that slider piece are going to be. So that does help. And I'm going to try to tack these down close to where the T part of the slider piece is, just a little, like an eighth or a quarter of an inch away from where that T is when it's fully collapsed into the card. Now it's time to take that center, which I don't think you should throw away because it creates the perfect little backdrop there and secures these two slider pieces together. It's an essential part of the mechanism. So we're just going to glue those flaps down. I personally line that up with the top edge because it's going to create a background for your scene. Just going to secure that with some glue, and then I'm going to put glue on those back flaps. You don't want to put them anywhere else, just on those back flaps. Make sure that's all tucked in where it belongs, and then I'm going to adhere the back of the card base to those flaps. And then give that glue just a few seconds to solidify, and then I'll flip that open and test it. I test it many times throughout this process because you just don't, with a card in motion, you want it to work. So you're always testing it to make sure it works. Now for the inner workings of this card, I do need a 4 3/4 inch wide panel, and I'm going to cut those into 3 sections. As you saw there, one was 3 inches, and then I think 2.5 and 2 inches. It varies, the different heights, and the back of your product piece. Oh gosh, why can't I think of that word? Anyway, with the product information, it should tell you what heights you need those to be. And it's going to be guided by how tall your image is that you put into these handy dandy little tabbed dies. And I found that if you bring the edges to the top, so you've got that straight line that fits in the top panel, and you can see the die edges, and it does create a pretty nice, it slips right into it. I know that I didn't explain that very well. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm trying to show. And you don't have to cut those little tags, those little connection areas, they just slip right out. And I am doing 2 of the birthday card because with this pretty filigree die that is adding detail to the cake part. This is, by the way, the celebration scene set, and there are, I believe, 4 scene sets that you can buy. They each come with the bracket die that you fit the different pieces into. So if you're going to do these card bases, it is super helpful to have the Make a Scene card base set and then the scene building, one of the scene building sets. So I used a pearlescent card in, I think it was like chestnut or something, but a chocolatey brown color, and then also with white paper to create that 2 different layers. And there I am adding the balloons to the top part of the slider mechanism, no, inner mechanism. So this creates several different heights, whatever height you want to make them. So you line up the bottom one with the bottom edge, and once you've attached the coordinating die for the piece that you're doing, you line that up with the top of the paper that you're cutting out, and that creates your little insert piece. Now for this one, I do also cut out a bunch of the balloons because you can see on that magnetic panel right next to me, there are a bunch of balloon dies that cut out balloons that fit exactly on the balloons from this. And the third piece is a happy birthday piece. Now this is the shadow element. You could use this without the bracket die to create a sentiment to put on another card if you want with a shadow. But we're going to use it the way it's intended with this die set. Again, just lining that bottom piece up with the bottom, lining the top of the interchangeable piece on the top of the card, and that just pops right out. You don't have to use scissors, it just pulls loose. And then we are going to take the die cut detail, happy birthday, and I will glue that to the shadow portion, and that will be the back section of this particular card. I did find that there is a specific order or a specific position that these fit in because the different widths have to adapt to how they will fit in the card when it collapses. So you couldn't put the happy birthday in the middle or the front section because it needs to be narrower in order for the slider mechanism to work. So it's kind of dedicated to the back. So is the balloon one. It's dedicated to the middle. You could put it in the back or the middle, I guess. And you could put the cake in the back if you wanted to just do one layer. But I took the balloon die and I had a piece of paper that I had, a piece of cardstock that I'd ink blended a bunch of colors on, and I just die cut a whole bunch of balloons so I'd have some variety. And I am storing the spares in the packaging, so the next time I decide to use this die set, I'll have some pre-cut balloons. That's handy, right? There, that scene is building up. We're gonna tack down this birthday cake. Oh, I forgot. There's candles that go with the birthday cake. Glued those in. Just going to glue this entire piece over the front of that chocolate piece. I could have done this a little differently, but this works out pretty darn well. Just adding little dabs. There are filigree balloons that you can do too in this set. Lots of varieties, and I could see using these for all kinds of things. There are other people have done videos with creating tags and card fronts, like not interactive card fronts with these items too. So next, to assemble. So we're going to take the back one and you're going to ease it into the slot. And once you have it in one side, you can get it into the other side. And you're going to repeat that for all 3 sections in this die, or excuse me, in this card. And you're going to have this cute little scene emerge when you open and close the card. This card's a little bit rudimentary. It's not super fancy. I could see adding all kinds of elements on the outside of this particular card. There you can see what the scene has developed into, and that it doesn't close all the way closed, but that gives your recipient an idea that they need to do something, that they need to pull on that, and there's a scene to be revealed. And I'm very into rainbows lately. I think we all just need brightness and happiness and rainbows and unicorns and all of the good stuff. So I took 3 colors here. I think that's Picked Raspberry, Wild Honey, and Salty Ocean. And using these 3 colors, they're very primary colors. So if you mix them, they create a rainbow. With just the 3 colors, you'll get multiple colors. So I'm mixing the yellow and the blue here to create a green. And then we'll add the pink, and that'll combine with the yellow to create an orange. So we'll have a red, pink, reddish pinkish color, along with orange, yellow, green, and blue. And then I'm going to add a little blue to the pink and a little bit of pink to the blue, and we'll also have some purple. And that will create a lovely rainbow front. That's a great theme for a birthday, right? Who doesn't love a rainbow? Well, I'm sure there are some people who don't really want a rainbow card, but I know lots of people who would. Now we're going to use the Scallop Façade frames. Now these are 5x7. This card, the Make a Scene cards, all create 5x7 cards. Now these layers combine to create different things. You can just die cut so it creates holes in your panel, or you can die cut the edge also. So I did the scallop, not just the outline, but the added cutouts. Now we're also going to center this and create an X in the middle, so I can use the smaller insert frame or inner frame for the card front on this panel. And we're going to use one more of the Scallop Façade frames. We're going to use this very intricate filigree-ish die that's just going to cut holes in the frame. It's not going to die cut another rectangle. And they coordinate quite nicely with the filigree or cutout images on the Make a Scene set. This is actually part of the Make a Scene grouping product line. There we go. Those are the words I needed, product line. And I'm using my die ejection set here, just the brush and a piece of foam in order to push all of those little bits out. It goes pretty quick. And now I'm just going to use some of this Bearly Arts precision glue to add to the front of the card and add a little pizzazz to the card. If I had been feeling a little more creative and I'm sorry, sometimes this winter I just don't have the pizzazz. I wish I had, but this is the front of this card. I think some added balloons would be fun, some extra sponging. There'd be all kinds of cute ways to make that a little extra fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned how to create this Make a Scene card. Hope he gave you some hints. If you want to see, if you want any of the product I used in this video, check the description box below. There are links to all of the products that I used, and I hope you come back again soon. Until next time, bye-bye.